Hey folks, how you doing? Let me move this over here. How you doing? This is the 25th of March, 2015. I'm your host, Wayne S. Pierce, with the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. How are you? You good? Oh, yeah, one of those days, folks. I had my coffee. I'm good. Let's go. Let's do this thing. With what's coming up and what's coming down the line with this administration, with this regime, I have to say that it is more important to be prepared now, today, the 25th of March, 2015, than it was ever in the past in this administration's existence. Okay? Now, I know that there are certain things that people are going to question. And, I don't mind. Because as you question, you learn. And as the process that goes on with that, you learn even more. And the more that you learn, the more that you'll find ways to prepare yourself for the inevitable. And I find myself looking at you people, looking at people around me and examining those motives that people have. And I have to ask myself this question. Why? Why are people not paying that much of attention to it? They may say, oh yeah, I'm paying it. I'm aware, I'm awake, I'm paying attention, yada, yada. Yes, I completely and absolutely understand this. But why aren't you doing anything about it? And if you are, well, thank you. And if you're not, why not? This is something that really has taken me to a level of thought that really I think people need to be at, and that is literally, are we willing to take on an enemy to secure the freedom and liberty in this country? Are we willing to take on an enemy to secure freedom and liberty in this country? This is something that is always on my mind, and it should be on yours. So I wanted to start out with that question, and I wanted to start out with that little intro there as well, because I feel that we know what we can do. Question is, are we going to do it? That's a big question, isn't it? And this is true in any other country with a corrupt regime controlling their country. Okay? We're all part of humanity. I don't care if you're a citizen of Pakistan or the Netherlands or Africa or whatever. You're a part of humanity, and humanity in its own structure as a person in, this group we call society, and in this group we call humanity, is a living, breathing human being that has a right to live free and a right to follow their conscience wherever it leads them. So that's something to think about. And of course, if you have any questions, please ask. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. American Liberty Radio at USA.com. Go to WayneSPierce.com. Check that out as well. And I shall return right after this. This is the American Liberty Radio Network.
Definitely cutting edge radio. The Chris Top Program. Sometimes I think I push people a little too hard. It's because I want the best.
Life is good, I'm gone?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will.
Okay, so do you need some time to prepare, or are you ready? The Chris Top Program on Spreaker and PKN Radio.
Life is good, and I am gone. Yeah, yeah.
Radio Rock 92.6, The Blitz. Your station for everything independent, from music, movies, books, and so much more. You can be a part of the fastest growing station on the internet. Help out today. For more information, go to www.radiorocktheblitz.blogspot.com. Hey folks, how you doing? This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here for the 25th March, 2015. How are you? Hey, I want to just give some shout outs this morning. How's that? Let's start out doing that, shall we, before we get into the big to-do all over the world, shall we? Hey, big shout out to, as you heard it there, big shout out to Mr. Tom Slick over at Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. Go listen to his show. You can go to radiorocktheblitz.blogspot.com. Tell him I sent you. Yeah, that's radiorocktheblitz.blogspot.com with Radio Rock 92.6 The Blitz. You can hear that on Spreaker.com as well. Also, go listen to Mr. Brian Lang over at LiveTruthRadio.com. He's off this week. He's busy. He's a busy man. Leave him alone. He's just really busy. So, yes, that's LiveTruthRadio.com. Live Truth Radio with your host, Brian Lang. And, of course, go over and check out. It's entertaining and informative. I say that with hesitation because I'm going to leave that up to you. Go over to HTLARadio1.com. Check out Christopher John Taylor. Yes, go check him out. HTLARadio1.com. And, God, how many other people I got to give shout outs to? Hey, I want to get on with it. Let's do that. If I remember later, I'll give some more shout outs. Let's get on to it, shall we? How about that? You want to do that? Let's do that. You don't want to hear me yammer on. Infowars.com is reporting, Prison Planet actually is reporting that, they're reporting this. The New York Post is reporting this. Okay, the New York Post is reporting by Tom Wilson, ISIS releases hit list of 100 American military personnel. ISIS has posted online what it's calling a target list with the names and addresses of 100 U.S. military personnel and calling on brothers residing in America, that's in quotes, to kill them, Pentagon officials said. Now, let me ask you this question here. How does the Pentagon know this? How long did it take them to come up with this information? How did all of a sudden something pop up on their radar and say, oh, look? Or did somebody in ISIS hack into the... Well, let me go on here. The list urges so-called lone wolves to track down and kill personnel. The original site has been blocked and taken down, but multiple mirror copies remain available online. None of the military personnel is from New York City, but one is a Navy lieutenant from upstate Hillsdale. This is out of New York, by the way. Others include an Air Force major from Barkhamsted, Connecticut, and a Navy ship commander officer from Newport, Rhode Island. The list appeared to have been drawn by, The list appeared to have been drawn from personnel mentioned in news articles about U.S.-led airstrikes on ISIS, the New York Times reported. Now, the New York Times is reporting this. The New York Post has this. And the whole issue of The whole issue of ISIS is this: we are funding them. The FBI, the CIA, the military-industrial complex, we are funding them. How do you think the Pentagon knows about these lists? Okay? So I'm going to put this video, actually, from YouTube, from the Alex Jones channel, on my site, on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. But how do you think they know about this list? Okay? How do you think they know about this list? Doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure this one out, folks. Okay? All right? Let's stay on Infowars.com. There's a few articles there I saw that are very interesting. The only truly compliant, submissive citizen in a police state is a dead one. Let's go take a look at that one. John Whitehead from Rutherford Institute. Quote, "Do exactly what I say and we'll get along fine. Do not question me or talk back in any way. You do not have a right to object to anything I may say or ask you to do, or ask for clarification if my demands are unclear or contradictory. You must obey me under all circumstances without hesitation, no matter how arbitrary, unreasonable, discriminatory, or blatantly racist my commands may be. Anything other than immediate, perfect, servile compliance will be labeled as resisting arrest and expose you to possibilities of a violent reaction from me. That reaction could cause you severe injury or even death, and I will suffer no consequences. It's your choice. Comply or die." Quote unquote. Comply or die. Policing must stop. Daily costs. That's from the Daily Costs. The headline is, "The only true compliant, submissive citizen in a police state is a dead one. Americans as young as 4 years old are being legged, shackled, handcuffed, tasered, and held at gunpoint." Americans as young as 4 years old are being leg shackled, handcuffed, tasered, and held at gunpoint for not being quiet, not being orderly, and just being childlike, i.e. not being compliant enough. Americans as old as 95 are being beaten, shot, and killed for questioning an order, hesitating in the face of a directive, and mistaking a policeman crashing through their door for a criminal breaking into their home, i.e. not being submissive enough. And Americans of every age and skin color are being taught the painful lesson that the only true compliant, submissive, and obedient citizen in a police state is a dead one. It doesn't matter where you live, big city or small town. It's the same scenario being played out over and over again, in which government agents, hyped up on their own authority and power of their uniform, ride roughshod over the rights of citizenry. In return, Americans are being brainwashed into believing that anyone who wears a government uniform, soldier, police officer, prison guard, must be obeyed without question. Franklin Graham, the heir to Billy Graham's evangelical empire, offered up this simple piece of advice for, quote, blacks, whites, Latinos, and everybody else, unquote, hoping to survive an encounter with the police. Franklin Graham said, and I quote, most police shootings can be avoided. It comes down to respect of authority and obedience. If a police officer tells you to stop, you stop. If a police officer tells you to put your hands in the air, you put your hands in the air. If a police officer tells you to lay face down with your hands behind your back, you lay face down first with your hands behind your back. It's as simple as that. Even if you think the police officer is wrong, you obey. That's a quote from Franklin Graham. Clearly, Graham's message resonated with a group of Americans. Almost 200,000 individuals, quote, liked the message on Facebook, with an astounding 83,000 fans sharing the words of advice with their own friends, none of whom seem to recall that Jesus Christ, whom they claim to follow and model their lives after, not only stood up to the police state of his day, but was put to death for it. It's not just mainstream evangelicals who have been brainwashed into believing that a good citizen is a compliant citizen and that obedience will save us from the police state. In the wake of a grand jury's decision not to indict the police officer responsible for the choking death of Eric Garner, Patrick Lynch, president of Patrolmen's Benevolent Association, declared, quote, "We have to teach our children, our sons and daughters, no matter what they look like, to respect New York City police officers. Teach them to comply with the New York City police officers, even if they think it's unjust," unquote. Similarly, Officer Sunil Dutta of the Los Angeles Police Department advises, quote, "If you don't want to get shot, tased, pepper sprayed, struck with a baton, or thrown to the ground, just do what I tell you. Don't argue with me. Don't call me names. Don't tell me that I can't stop you. Don't say I'm a racist pig. Don't threaten that you'll sue me and take away my badge. Don't scream at me that you pay my salary, and don't even think of aggressively walking towards me," unquote. In other words, it doesn't matter if you're in the right. It doesn't matter if a cop is in the wrong. It doesn't matter if you're being treated with less than the respect you deserve. If you want to emerge from a police encounter with your life and body intact, then you'd better comply, submit, obey orders, respect authority, and generally do whatever a cop tells you to do. In this way, the old-fashioned motto to protect and serve has become comply or die. As I point out in my book, this is John Whitehead saying this. As I point in my book, A Government of Wolves, Emerging American Police State, it is my forthcoming book, Battlefield America, The War on the American People. This is the unfortunate, misguided, perverse message being beaten, shot, tasered, and slammed into our collective consciousness, and it is regrettably starting to take root. Despite the growing number of criminal charges ranging from resisting arrest and interference to disorderly conduct, obstruction, and failure to obey a police order that get trotted out anytime a citizen voices discontent with the government or challenges or even questions the authority of the powers that be, the problems we're experiencing, now get this, folks, in terms of police shootings have little to do with rebellion or belligerence or resistance. Rather, the problem arises when compliance doesn't happen fast enough to suit the police. Let that sink in for a minute, folks. John Whitehead goes on to explain give examples of what happened. I'm going to put this on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. I'm also going to put it on the American Liberty Radio Network page because that is important. Okay? I'm also going to put it on the main feed as well. The question is not so much are you resisting and why to resist. The question is why are you putting up with it? You're not resisting, you're just not complying to the regime's orders. Okay? You're just not. Because you have a right not to comply. But then they're going to argue, oh, we're the authority. You must comply. No. We're free and sovereign citizens. We don't have to comply with unjust orders. Period. We don't. Okay? That's just the way it is. A lot of people might look at us and say, well, they're the authority. You should, do it and all that. I just think that there are a lot of people out there who understand very little as to the authority behind the badge. I really do. The authority behind the badge is the rule of law of the Constitution of the United States of America prior to 1871, period. That authority is laid down in the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Done. But see, this regime that we have here has taken it to a whole new level in that they've discarded the Constitution and said, screw you, we're going to do what we want. Okay? Now, the one thing that I know from my own personal experiences from dealing with people and understanding the Constitution as much as I do and talking to different constitutional attorneys and people who know the Constitution better than I do, the one thing that I've come to understand in dealing with people on an everyday basis is probably about 80 to 90% of the people that walk around you today have no clue what the Constitution says, including the minions of the corporations we call politicians in Washington, D.C. If all 535 members of Congress read the Constitution, they would throw this president in jail. Okay? That's the bottom line. They not only would throw Obama in jail, they throw Biden in jail, Pelosi in jail, Reid in jail. They would have to get at least half of the Democratic side of Congress arrested and thrown in jail because they're committing crimes against humanity and against the citizens of the United States by throwing out all the rule of law in the Constitution. Okay? And I'm going to say this. Every single state, hey governors, I don't care if you're Governor Brian Sandoval or Governor Moonbeam Jerry Brown. I don't care. Governors, listen up. That Constitution that you pledge to protect, yeah, we're going to take that and hold you accountable for everything you do against us under the rule of law of the Constitution of the United States of America prior to 1871. And you can take your state constitutions and shove them up your ass. Okay? Because here's the thing, and it's really, really simple, Mr. Governor, and all you governors out there. You have 3 branches of government in your state. You can do whatever it is that needs to be done within the confines of your state. You do not have to depend upon the federal government for your handouts. Because your special interest groups and your lobbyists that you're bribing to get what you want in your state is not beneficial to the citizens of your state. Got it? So we're going to take that federal constitution, our founding fathers that put that together and ratified it on December 15th, 1791. We're going to take that and we're going to hold you accountable for everything you do against us. Got it? And if you can't handle that, you're in the wrong business. Okay? That's just the way it is. I was asked at one point if I would ever, lead people in, to protect neighborhoods and to protect people and all that. If I were to ever lead anybody in that. Not without help, but I would. And if that means that I have to defend this country, this state, the people in this state, the people in my neighborhood and the people that I know, even people I don't know. If I have to have a bunch of people around me and some other people as well to lead others in protecting citizens against the tyranny within the borders of the United States of America, I'm there right up front. Let's do it. Because America is my home, not the home of these tyrants, not the homes of, this is not the home of the United Nations. This is not the home of Sharia law. This is not the home of some criminal organization we call Washington, D.C. This is a home of born and bred Americans, citizens of their states. We, the people, have the power. We are America. And if it wasn't for the people of America, I don't think that we would have a country as powerful as it is. But remember this. Let me go into this direction. It is only that way because we have succumbed to the pressures of the tyrants and we have become slaves for their purposes. Why do you think there are so many military personnel in other countries fighting wars that we should not even be in? It is not constitutional, number one. It is not ethical, number two, and definitely it is not moral. We need our military right here in America, right here on this continent, protecting us from the enemies within and without. And if you can't understand that, Mr. Governor, you need to pack it and leave. Get the hell out of my country. Every American that was born and bred in this country can say, it is my country. Not the foreigners that sneak over the border or any of that. No. I've seen people from Iraq, from Pakistan, from China, from Japan come over here and assimilate into this culture, and I guarantee you this is America to them, and they will defend it to the very lengths of their lives. But the illegals, the people that cross the border illegally, that come here and want handouts and all that. Yeah, you democratic fascists and socialists know what I'm talking about, don't you? You're trying to overwhelm the system. You're trying to overwhelm the system. Check out who wrote that. You got people like George Soros and Zbigniew Brzezinski, whose daughter is on MSNBC, trying to undermine the freedoms and liberties of the people. Well, I'm not going to have it. What about you? So, Mr. Governor, you better get your head out of your butt and realize there's people here. And we, the people, have the power. I'll be back right after this. This is the American Liberty Radio Network. New West Theater, Reno, Nevada is looking for you. If you're an actor or an actress in the Reno, Sparks, Carson City area, please contact New West Theater at newwesttheater@usa.com. newwesttheater@usa.com. Go to newwesttheater.weebly.com for more information. Eastland Radio Theater presents Ace in the Hole. The scanners aren't showing anything. I know that ship is out here somewhere. If I was a betting man, I would have to say I would be off this base before your security knew I was even here. If I were you, I wouldn't trust someone with a blaster pointed at their back. Another day, another few thousand credits for me. Not a bad day, if I may say so myself. Not a bad day at all. EastlandRadioTheater.weebly.com. Are you an actor looking for a place to promote your work? Do you do voiceover work and want others to hear what you do? Go to Eastland Entertainment and get your work seen and heard. Eastland Entertainment is your one-stop shop in the Reno, Nevada area for all of your entertainment needs. Eastland Entertainment will promote your work for you. Eastland Entertainment also produces original short films and radio plays through Eastland Radio Films. For more information, contact them at eastlandentertainment@usa.com or go to the Eastland Radio Films website at eastlandradiofilms.wix.com/eastlandfilms. That's eastlandradiofilms.wix.com/eastlandfilms. A Day in the Life. New West Theater, in association with Eastland Radio Theater, presents A Day in the Life. Day in the Life is a series that reveals the very heart of the people and their daily lives. Each person has a story to tell. Each story is a snapshot of what people are going through or have seen at the time. It is truly a day in the life. Hey, folks. Hey, folks, how you doing? Welcome back. This is the 25th of March, 2015. This is the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast right here on the American Liberty Radio Network. Just so many things going on. So many things going on. So many areas that we have to discuss, and I've only got an hour. Less than that now. So, let's go to Reuters, because, actually, no, let's go here. There's a lot at Reuters as well. Saudi Arabia building up forces near Yemen border. Wall Street off in choppy trading after soft data. Weak U.S. business spending data points to tepid first quarter growth. Okay. Ultra-nationalist Ukrainian battalion gears up for more fighting. So, yeah. So let's go to, you can go to Reuters and check all that out. But let's go to RT. The left's grand poobah of all things Russia, right? Saudi Arabia moves heavy arms to border with chaos-stricken Yemen. Japanese Navy gets biggest warship since World War II. Why is that? Pilot panic. Germanwings crews refuse to fly. Torture dinner. Slave-caught seafood wins. Slave-caught seafood winds up in U.S. restaurant food chains. So they want slaves. Tear gas, rubber bullets as police disperse Canadian students' anti-austerity rally. Fired Ukrainian governor taped threatening to take over power plant. Bill approving nitrogen gas executions advances in Oklahoma Senate. And they just now, the Utah governor signed into law that now you can get executed by firing squad. Isn't that lovely? Obamacare drops number of uninsured to lowest in 15 years, CDC says. Fallon talks up British forces' role in fight against ISIS. Blast MP's verdict. That's out of the UK. Can we just go on? Most Russians see their country as great power, the poll says, in Russian politics. Leftists push to equate popular Russian bloggers with mass media. In other words, they're trying to take it over, folks. The state-run media in Russia is trying to take over bloggers. Same here, actually, to tell you the truth. This is the same here. This is out of the business section of RT. Support of China's development bank is gigantic concession by the U.S. Support of China's development bank is gigantic concession by the U.S. Let's take a gander at that, shall we? There's a video there. I'm going to put this on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. So the support of China's development bank is a gigantic concession by the U.S. Washington and the World Bank have no choice but to cooperate with Beijing on the new China-led development bank. The U.S. has changed its tune after first opposing its allies cozying up to China. What comes to mind, folks, is this: a one-world banking system. I'm just saying. I'm just putting it out there for you folks to intellectually chew on. Quote, "This is a gigantic concession on the part of the U.S. that it is not the world's only superpower," unquote. Jeffrey Albert Tucker, CLO of the Foundation for Economic Education, told RT. Instead of fighting the new China-led development bank, the U.S. was forced to add its support to the development bank after allies jumped ship to join the $100 billion China-led project that could rival the World Bank. Quote, "This represents a dramatic shift on the part of Washington and the concessions to its allies in Europe," Tucker said. U.S. officials have voiced displeasure with the U.K., Germany, France, and Italy agreed when the U.K., Germany, and France and Italy agreed to work with the bank. But now, in an apparent concession, the U.S. will work with it and not against the new Global Development Fund. The White House wants to co-finance projects with Beijing, along with existing banks such as the World Bank and the Wall Street Journal has said. I look at it this way, folks. I'm going to put this out here because I've studied this stuff for over 30 years, and I can tell you right now, I can tell you, this is not going to go good for the United States of America. I can tell you that right now. We're already $18 trillion or more dollars in debt. That's on the books. Go to usdebtclock.org. But you know what's not on the books and what they're not showing you? Is that derivatives, fake money, monopoly money, money you pull out of your ass, just figures, just numbers, made up numbers. You know what? You know where that's around? About $3 quadrillion that the government says you and I owe. Folks, no. We're totally crashed. We're financially, we cannot even leverage the debt of the good debt of American workers and commerce in this country to borrow any money from any other country, because our money's worthless, folks. Our money is completely and utterly worthless. And besides, we don't have good credit, okay? We don't. I certainly don't on a personal level. So anyway, I'm going to put this up on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page. So please, if you would like, please, you can check that out there. I'm frankly at the point where I'm done with all of the bullcrap. I'm seriously done with all the bullcrap. Oh, by the way, getting back to this, there was one last part of this article from RT. Support of China's development bank is a gigantic concession by the U.S. There was one part left in this that I didn't get to. Sorry. Actually, the whole section here. But let me say this. The offer is a massive U-turn in Washington's stance on the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The tone quickly changed last week after an unnamed U.S. official told the Financial Times that America was, quote, wary about a trend towards constant accommodation to China, unquote. That's in the RT.com, by the way. So you can read the rest of that if you'd like. It is what it is, folks. I mean, you cannot get away from any of it because it's right there in your face. It's right there in your face. You cannot get away from it at all. It's right there. When you're driving down the road and you see a red light, common sense would say, stop. But it's also second nature because that's what we were taught, right? Pretty much, right? Well, it's second nature to understand that the finances of this country were at one point very good. From the time of George Washington to George W. Bush, we had $6 trillion of debt. $6 trillion. That's a lot of money, folks. From 2008, 2009 to today, we now have $18 trillion of debt or more. As a matter of fact, let me tell you exactly what we have. Okay? Before I do that, I'm going to put this on the main feed of Facebook to get people to see this as well. Okay? And Infowars.com and Alex Jones are reporting FEMA camp takeover set for Southwest. I don't know what to believe there, but I'm pretty sure that is pretty doggone accurate. The thing is, folks, we have to decide right now today what side we're on. And if you're a friend of mine, but you are more apt to be on the side of the leftists, I hope that works out for you. Because you've immediately become my enemy. No, I'm not kidding. I'm being straight with you. You want to side with Obama and that regime? Hey, nice knowing you. USDebtClock.org. We are 18 trillion 162 is it billion? 378 million, and it goes up from there. That's how much we are in debt, folks. U.S. federal tax revenue, $3,146 billion. Student loan debt. Student loans, I think, are perpetuated on a fraudulent premise to perpetually put future or current students into debt. Okay? Student loan debt, $1,345 billion. Credit card debt, $886 billion. It's all in the red, folks. All of this is in the red, except for U.S. tax revenue, which is $3 trillion. That's in the green. Total personal debt, up 113% to $16,840 billion. Okay? Payroll tax revenue. This is what comes out of your check, goes to the government. Payroll tax revenue, $1,043 billion. Income tax revenue. This is what you pay at the end of the year. $1,457 billion. And guess what? Revenue per citizen, $9,816. Yes, folks, $9,816 per citizen. Okay? Gross debt to GDP ratio, 103.1%. Revenue to GDP ratio is 33.6%. And spending to GDP ratio is in the red, 36.8%. Total national assets, that's what we have and what everything is worth. $114,712,000,000,000. It's a large amount of assets we have, folks. $114,712,000,000,000. Okay? So there you go. I'm going to put this on the Wayne S. Pierce Show Facebook page so you can take a look at it. It's changing all the time, folks. So, you know, what do we do, folks? I'm stuck. I'm stuck looking at all of this and realizing that, number one, we're never going to be able to pay off this debt. Okay? Think about that one. Think about, and here's why we have this much debt. It's robbing Peter to pay Paul, as the old adage goes. It's you taking out your credit card, the one that hasn't been maxed out, that you just don't want to use, and then going, wait a minute, I've got debt on these 3 other credit cards I have, and it comes out to being about half of what my new credit card is. Well, I'm going to go and dump everything onto this one. You got to look at the principle and say, wait a minute, if I put half of my debt onto this brand new credit card, the interest rates are going to be just a little bit more. But, oh yeah, I can pay this. This is not a problem. I'll pay the other ones down if I use them here and there. No, it never happens, folks. It never happens. This is why when you cancel a credit card, did you know that the credit card company, Visa, MasterCard, Discovery, did you know that they do everything they can to keep you? Do you know why? Because they want you perpetually in debt, because they want that income. That's why. Why do you think more and more people are going cash only? Money orders. Rents are being paid in money orders. Bills are being paid in cash or money orders or whatever. You know, they don't use credit cards anymore. More people are using ATM debit cards at stores than they are the credit side of it. Why? Because they get paid immediately. There's a slight hold on any credit card. When you use your debit card that says MasterCard or Visa on it, did you know there's a slight hold on that? Did you know that with the debit side of that card, boom, they get it right away? Did you know that? I didn't know that until I talked to my bank. I didn't know that at all. But we are in debt, folks. Serious, serious debt. And that's the U.S. debt. $18 trillion. That's the U.S. debt. If we were to sell 75 to 80% of our assets that we have in America, we could pay it off like that. And we wouldn't have a problem with it. But who do we sell the assets to? This is the thing, folks. If you have a house and you say, well, okay, it's you know, I've been here 25 years. It's about 80% paid off, but I'm going to take out a second mortgage on the house. I've never done that before, but I'm going to take out a second mortgage on the house for about $100,000 because I want to upgrade the house. We've been here, that long. We got to work on it. We got to remodel, do all this. Right? You take that much money out of your house. Guess what? Guess what? You're not going to be able to pay off that $100,000 by the time you're retired. There's no way. Absolutely no way. Now, here's the other thing, folks. Here's the other thing that I found a little bit strange, little bit. You got to wrap your mind around this part of it, folks. Okay, try to wrap your mind around this. If you have a house and you've had it for 25 years and you've got to remodel it, don't you think that it would be easier and probably cost-effective to pay as you go? Instead of just waiting and, oh, hey, I've had this house 25 years. I'm going to borrow $100,000 on it and then fix it up and try to sell it to get your money back. Don't you think it would be more cost effective to do it as you go along and pay as you go? Well, Congress thought about that same thing. But guess what? I think the Senate, I don't know which one, but I think the Senate and the House shot that idea down. Why? Because they want the money right now. They want to do everything right now. You know why? They have to pay off their lobbyists and special interest groups. They need the money now. They don't want to wait. They don't want to do that, so they tell the Treasury, hey, print up some more money, man, because we need it. Treasury's like, you already owe us. Oh, we don't care. Well, and the Treasury's sitting there. That's like, the Treasury to the federal government printing through the Federal Reserve. It's a private organization, by the way. The Treasury is part of the government. The Federal Reserve is not. So it's a private organization. So the Federal Reserve goes to the Treasury and says, hey, we need, a couple of $100 million. So, they're going, okay, but you owe us anyway. Yeah, whatever. Just print it up. This is how much power the Federal Reserve has over the Treasury. Now, what we need to do is get rid of the Federal Reserve and put the Treasury back in the hands of the people and tell Congress, you ain't getting any more money. We need to approve your expenditures. And Congress ain't going to like that because then we're going to hold the purse strings and they're not. Okay. It's not going to happen. They're not going to like the fact that we're going to take this country back over and fire each and every single one of them. And that's what we need to do. And jail a few that have committed crimes. Insider trading, anyone? It's now legal in Washington, D.C. to do that. But when you look at the Treasury and you look at how all of this financial, my point is, looking at all this finances of the United States government, you're going to see just by your own example of how you live, how, number one, how unreasonable it is to spend the money that we're spending, that the government is spending, and totally how incredibly difficult it's going to be to pay that off. You borrow against your house after 25 years and you want to remodel it because your kids are gone and all that, then, you're not going to be able to pay that off. I just had a family member short sale house. because, well, the income was not enough to pay for the house. There were two people in the house working. One person was lost their job, and basically they had to short sale the house. So they're back paying rent instead of a mortgage. Probably a lot less than the mortgage, but it's just, you borrow against your house after 25 years and you want to remodel, then you're not going to be able to pay it off. And with the economy the way it is, and you also have to look at not only the economy itself, but you have to look at the tax base in your region to figure out whether or not you can afford, a $250,000 home. Look at the tax base, because that relates to everything that you're doing, okay? How much money is coming out of your pocket? If your taxes that you pay locally or statewide or whatever is not going to support the area in which you live, your mortgage payment is not going to be enough to offset that expenditure. It's not going to work. It's like you borrow against your home for $100,000 because you want to remodel, and then look at the interest rates, look at the tax rates, look at how much your home project through trends, how much your home is going to be worth in 5, 10, 15 years. Are you going to be able to pay that $100,000 off? Who knows? You'll probably have to short sale your house in 5 years. That's why most older homes, any home that is over, and you can see this, any home that is over 30 years old now just gets, knocked down and a new house is built. Why? It's cost effective because the materials are, cheaper and things are done more efficiently and everything. Why pour all the money into this older home? Why not just knock it down and build a new one? I mean, you see this in fast food joints all over the place. Older McDonald's and Taco Bells, they just destroy them and rebuild them. Modernize them. Why not? Where I grew up in Stockton, California, my mom and dad's house was built in 1948. And after 60-some years of being on the same land, it's showing some wear and tear, okay? It's showing some wear and tear, okay? Yeah, it's 1948 it was built. My dad bought it in 1958, I think, 59, something like that. And my folks just passed away last year, so and the house was paid off, and they just paid property taxes. But so it's been around a while, okay? It's been around a long time, all right? So it's showing some wear and tear. It's just better just to knock down the house and rebuild a new one. It is. It's like electronics. You had to pay bunches of money to get your computer fixed about 20, 30 years ago. And now, with technology being as it is, boom. Just plug and play. Just take out your motherboard, put another one in, yada, yada, yada. Take chips out, put them in. So much easier. Anyway, folks, I gotta go. Gotta get my day going. And liberty is the road. Freedom is the goal. Talk to you tomorrow right here on the Wayne S. Pierce Show podcast, right here on American Liberty Radio Network. Go to my website, WayneSPierce.com. Check out everything there. Donate to the network. I will talk to you folks tomorrow.